This is an animated map of events for the West Memphis Murders, looking at Damien's alibi as covered in episode 518 and 519. On the 5th of May 1993, three 8-year-old boys went missing from their home in West Memphis. They were Michael Moore, Stevie Branch, and Chris Byers. Their bodies were found the next day, naked, bound and submerged in a muddy creek in a small patch of woods called the Robin Hood Hills. Within 24 hours, the West Memphis police were already questioning their prime suspect, Damien Echols. Aged 18, Damien lived in Broadway with his birth parents Pam and Joe Hutchison and sister Michelle Echols. His best friend, 16-year-old Jason Baldwin, lived in Lakeshore, a stone's throw from 16-year-old girlfriend Dominique Tier, who was pregnant with his child. Damien's adoptive father, Jack Echols, also lived right by them in Lakeshore, and Damien had stayed with him when he returned to West Memphis from Oregon in 1992, about 6 months before the rest of his family did. Narlene Hollingsworth lived one road behind, and Ken Watkins was staying nearby at his uncle's trailer at the time of the murders. You'll hear both their names as we move through. Damien was first questioned the day after the bodies were found by his juvenile officer Steve Jones and Lieutenant James Sudbury. There are no police notes relating to an alibi, just a cult. He was questioned again 2 days later with Jason and Dominique in Jason's yard. There's no audio or transcript, but the notes from Bill Durham are the first outline of an alibi we have. They say they went to Jason's uncle's to mow the yard. Damien called his father to pick them up from the laundry on Missouri. They got picked up at 6 p.m. They dropped Jason and Dominique home and then went home. His first proper interview was at the police station on the 10th of May, where he gave hair and blood samples and took part in a polygraph exam. Again, the interview wasn't recorded, but according to police notes, Damien was with Jason and Dominique. They went to watch Jason mow his Uncle Hubert's yard. Damien called his mum, not his dad, to get picked up from Alexander's laundry. They dropped Dominique, not Jason, back home to Lakeshore. And then he added in that they went with his family to visit the Sanders from about 3 to 5 p.m, before going home and spending the night on the phone with Holly George until 11:30. His friends and family largely corroborate the core of his alibi, although the details and timings have changed and often conflict with one another. According to his mother, Pamela Hutchison, she woke him about 10 a.m. They left the house in the car at 10:15 and went to East Arkansas Mental Health Unit for an appointment. His counsellor wasn't there, so she waited to see the doctor. While waiting, they spoke to his ex-stepsister, Carol Ashmore. Ken Watkins said Dominique called him at home about 12. They saw the doctor around 12 for about 20 minutes and left by 12:30. Pam dropped the prescription off at Marion Discount Pharmacy and they dropped Damien at Lakeshore at 1 p.m. This is corroborated by Dominique's mum Diane, and L.G. Hollingsworth, who stated he popped over after job hunting. While Dominique and her mum say they watched TV and waited until Jason got home from school, Damien says he went to the Sanders by 3 p.m. And this is where the conflicts really start. Witnesses made multiple statements and the timings often shift around between versions. So to map Damien's day, we've used full transcripts over notes and grouped the information into 30-minute ranges. Dominique, her mum Diane and Ken Watkins all say Damien was there at 3:30. Then Jason came over after school and they went to his trailer. Holly George and Jennifer Bearden say they had a three-way call with Damien when they got home from school. He was at home but was going to Jason's and asked if Jennifer could call back in 30 minutes. His family say he called from the laundry around 3:30 and they picked him up between 3:45 and 4. Acclaimed family friend of the Moores, Carrie Morris, says she saw Damien following, in air quotes, Michael south on Wilson. She didn't stop or intervene but says Michael was going to get his bike. However, we know he already had it when he went to Stevie's at 3:30. Ken says when they left Dominique's, he went home to check in and Dominique went to the store to get snacks and Damien waited outside Jason's. Damien's family say they dropped Dominique home about 4:10 after they'd already picked them up from the laundry. Then they went to the pharmacy to pick up the prescription. But according to Dominique, they were only just leaving Lakeshore to go to mow Jason's uncle's yard, which is a 30-minute walk away. Ken also says they left Lakeshore, but only went the 15-minute walk to Walmart to play video games. At 4:30, LG says Dominique and Damien were arguing on the corner near Jason's trailer. Jennifer says she called Damien back at Jason's and spoke for about 20 minutes while they played Nintendo. Dominique says they were at Uncle Hubert's house watching Jason mow the yard, and Ken says they were still at Walmart playing video games and avoiding LG by hiding inside looking at tapes. Damien and his family arrived home from the pharmacy and dropping Domini off and had dinner. According to Domini, her and Damien were just walking to the laundry to call for a lift. And Ken says they were still hiding from LG inside Walmart. He left at 5:30 to go home and babysit and said Jason and Damien told him that they were off to the bowling alley. Damien's family are still at home. His sister says he was on the phone to Jennifer for an hour. This is not corroborated by Jennifer's statements. Dominique says she was picked up at 5:30 and taken home by Damien's whole family. Her mum Diane says she saw Pam and Damien in the car when they dropped her off and A Different World was on TV. There were 2 30-minute episodes on that day starting at 5:30. Damien's family is still at home. His sister Michelle says he was still on the phone to Jennifer. This is now the critical part of the timeline, as is when the boys were last seen alive by the Robin Hood Hills. Damien's family drive over to see their friends the Sanders. Jennifer Sanders, their youngest daughter, says she was in when Joe, Pam, Damien and Michelle all arrived just before 90210 was coming on at 7 p.m. This is corroborated by Jennifer's older sister Stacey, who was across the street at her cousin Meredith McKay's. Meredith also says she saw Pam, Joe and Damien. All three say they know it was this day because 90210 was on and because the Sanders had gone to the Splash Casino for the first time with the Duets. A conflict in statements is Jennifer says this was the day before her boyfriend's concert. However, this was refuted by the assistant band director at trial, who said this was actually on the 17th of May. Stacey says this was 2 days before Damien was arrested. He wasn't actually arrested until the 3rd of June, but was subject to regular police questioning in the days after the bodies were found. And Joe remembers the day, but not if Damien was with them or not. Damien and his family stayed at the Sanders home for 20 to 30 minutes, leaving about halfway through 90210, which finished at 8. While 9 people corroborate the visit happened while 90210 was on and the Sanders were at the casino, there are conflicts. Pam and Michelle and Meredith all corroborate the time, date and fact Damien was there. Jennifer and Stacey also corroborate this, but there are conflicts with some of the information they gave to anchor the date as the 5th. Joe remembers the date but isn't sure if Damien went with them or not. Debbie McKay only remembers seeing Pam and can't be sure of the exact date, but knows it was a Wednesday. 90210 was on. Stacey and Meredith were both there and her sister Susan was out, which supports everyone else's account. Randy and Susan were at the casino, so didn't see anyone themselves, but say their daughter told them the next day that Pam and family had come over and that Pam left a note. The trip to the casino was corroborated by the Duets, who drove them there and had dinner for 4, and Gail Poindexter, who saw them on the 5th when she won $10,000. The conflict to the casino trip on the 5th is the sign-in sheet, which was only for 1 or 2 people instead of 4. The only person to put Damien elsewhere at this critical time is Ken Watkins, who says he was playing Nintendo at Jason's from 7 till 9. Last we heard from Ken, he had left Damien and Jason at Walmart at 5:30. Walmart to the crime scene is approximately a 2-mile walk. The service road route is slightly shorter, approximately 30 minutes, and the neighbourhood way is slightly longer, approximately 40 minutes. If they left Walmart at 5:30 when Ken did, they'd get to the woods by 6:10. It's a 2.5-mile walk back to Lakeshore, approximately 50 minutes. So to get back by 7, they'd need to leave immediately, or at most have 10 minutes to find and kill the boys, then conceal their bodies and bikes. Between 7:30 and 8, Damien and family were driving home from the Sanders, although according to Ken, he's still at Jason's playing Nintendo until 9. Jennifer called Damien, but he wasn't home. His grandmother answered and said to call back at 9. By now, the boys had been reported missing and the search was getting underway. Michelle and Pam say Damien is on the phone all night with Jason, Jennifer, Holly and Domini. Jennifer calls at 8:30 but it's busy, then she speaks to him from 9:30 to 10. Holly George says Jennifer told her she spoke to Damien around 9. Heather said her and Holly tried calling Damien at 9 but didn't get hold of him till 10:30. Heather's 2008 affidavit says when she stated Holly, it was actually Jennifer. Her and Holly didn't get on as both like Jason, but Jennifer was worried what her mum would say if she knew she was talking to Damien, so she asked Heather to lie. At this time, Narlene Hollingsworth and her family alleged they saw Damien and Domini walking towards Lakeshore on the service road behind the crime scene, but then both make it home to their respective houses in 20 minutes to be on the phone arguing about him speaking to Jason's girlfriend until Domini's told to get off the phone about 11 p.m. by her mum. Damien himself doesn't provide much detail into his day, and as shown there were plenty of inconsistencies with his alibi witnesses. However, Even if you think the Sanders alibi is made up to protect him, or you just don't believe Ken, there were half a dozen witnesses who saw the 3 victims playing near the woods around 6 p.m, but the only person to put Damien there, or even close by at this time, was Jessie Miss Kelly. More on Jessie and that confession next time.